Super Rugby Final will feature the top two teams of the competition, folks. The Chiefs, with their 37-17 victory over the Brumbies, have booked themselves a ticket down to Christchurch to see if they can break the Crusaders' winning run down there. The Chiefs, geez, they're due for a final win at some point, aren't they? But it's certainly not going to be easy. But they got the job done against the Brumbies boys in this one. We'll go over some of the key events and the stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts. But initial thoughts, I mean, if your set piece is going to be good, you are going to put yourself in the driver's seat. The Chiefs scrum was good, and they were very disruptive of the Brumbies lineout. Lolosio going off early certainly didn't help the Brumbies' chances. That guy's their playmaker. Debrasini had to step up off the bench, but ideally you would have liked your premier guy in that premier position. The Brumbies started out with a bunch of early pressure against the Chiefs. They had all the territory. Vai ended up getting himself yellow carded for a shoulder to the head of Pollard. It was a yellow that remained yellow. You felt like the Brumbies needed a conversion on all these opportunities they had. They needed to get some points for all this pressure. They didn't opt for threes, and they did eventually get it done. They kicked a 50-22, 5-meter line-out maul, ball in the hands of Pollard with the backs getting in behind that maul. He's able to go over, conversion from the sideline, 7 points to 0. But the Chiefs had a good knack in this game of hitting back pretty quick. Tupaia taking a high ball, got them actually into the Brumbies territory for a change, the Chiefs, because they'd been struggling in that area of the game. They ended up conceding a penalty to the Brumbies, which is another area where they'll look back and think, discipline let them down in certain areas, particularly pinged at the breakdown. But, from that penalty, touch, maul, phases for the Chiefs, and then Narawa at the back of that ruck. One-handed pick-up from the floor. It's probably not going to be one that the Brumbies defence will look back fondly on, but, it was a nice bit of deception from Narawa to pick that up one-handed and to go over. 7 points apiece. There's a bit of handbags after Narawa has a line break a bit later. Nothing really gets sanctioned, although one of the Brumbies guys, Tuolima, almost ended up in the crowd, but good to see that it meant something to both the teams, I guess. And then on 25 minutes, the Chiefs took the lead with a penalty, and that's when we got the confirmation on 25 minutes that Lolosio had failed his HIA, so he was done for the game. He had gone off quite a few minutes earlier. Then we get a bit of a kicking duel, and there was a lot of kicking in this game, which makes sense. Finals footy, both sides kicked the ball more than 40 times each, which is more than we saw in yesterday's Crusaders-Blues game when the Blues came in with a clear strategy to kick. I feel like the ball in play might have been a bit higher today, but still a fair bit of kicking. The Chiefs won the kick and duel by winning a penalty at the breakdown, opted for a 3 to get themselves an extended lead. So 13 points to 7, similar to what we saw against the Blues last week, to be fair, with the Chiefs happy to kind of do the finals footy thing and keep the scoreboard ticking over. But the Brumbies hit back. Again, it's the maul going close, and then Debrasini, who's having to come on earlier than expected to take the place of Lolosio with the dink and cross kick for Toole. I thought it was going to be a little bit too deep, but Toole, with no room to move, is able to dot the thing down right on the sideline, just in space, and it's a hell of a finish. So now we're back to a 1-point game with the misconversion, so very, very much game on. But again, the Chiefs immediately get a reply with a penalty to make it 16-12, and then a scrum penalty right before halftime to the Chiefs makes it 19-12 as we go into the sheds. The Brumbies have had 59% possession, 55% territory, but they've also doubled the penalty count with 6-3. And the Chiefs' tackles, they've made 100 in the first half, which is no small number, and at 92%, which is proper class. The Brumbies have only made 50 odd at 86, so not quite the same defensive shift needed from the Brumbies guys. Second half, Arcoy is causing havoc in that Brumbies lineout. That's certainly going to be an area of strength for the Chiefs next week if they can implement that same kind of thing on the Crusaders, which is a different kettle of fish. But they were doing it well in this one. Meant that the kind of early Brumbies momentum was, I think, pretty well stifled. But then, Corey Toole, how the hell did he score that try? Just a quick hands from the Brumbies, right to left, very skillful play, tipping on, like almost no time on the ball for each of the players. And then Corey Toole beats a prop, which you kind of expect because Corey Toole's lightning, and then just straight over D-Mac. Like, D-Mac does some amazing stuff in this game, but that ain't the highlight that he's going to want to be showing over and over again, because Toole just busted his tackle like he almost wasn't there. 19-17, properly back to game on. Brumbies needed the first score of the half, but that's their final score of the game, and there's still heaps of time left. The Chiefs finally got their attack to click on 46 minutes, because it had been looking a little bit disjointed at times. D-Mac and Tupaia got them some good territory up the guts, and then the guys like Carter, Rowe, and Narawa all linked up for a try. Narawa gets the finish, so 28-17, starting to look a bit more comfortable for the Chiefs. They extend the lead with a penalty, 29-17, and the Brumbies 50-50 passes are just not landing in this game. Like the one game where you want them to stick, they're not sticking. More penalties conceded, 32-17 goes the scoreline, and then Josh Jacob going in from a Chiefs set play with D-Mac with the try assist makes it 32-17. I felt like that was pretty much all she wrote. It was almost not, because it looked like the Brumbies had struck back immediately through Tom Wright, but if D-Mac does want a highlight to look back on, how the hell, when Tom Wright was just sliding over to score a try, he managed to snake his hand under Wright's body so to keep it between the ball and the ground? Amazing. One of the best try-saving tackles I've ever seen. It wasn't even really a tackle. It was just get the bloody hand under the ball. Quite incredible. No more points for the Brumbies in this one. So, yeah, very well-deserved victory for the Chiefs. I feel like in the end of this game, the game basically just kind of wound down. But when you look at the territory stats and the possession, it's still all Brumbies. But this defensive shift, man, 185 tackles at 89%. Classy. They'll need to be good against the Crusaders. But, I mean, Jacobson, 21 tackles. Arcoy, 16 tackles. Tupaia, 17 tackles. Proper shifts from these lads. Like the Brumbies were at 100 tackles, 79%. You're not going to win a semi-final at that kind of tackle rate. I mean, if you're playing blitz defense and you're just trying to disrupt the attacking play and not necessarily make the tackle, maybe, but 79% is just too low. Kicks from hand was 43-41, which is high. A lot of them D-Mac and Stevenson, although Stevenson had to go off early as well. Tualima, man, 3 turnovers conceded, not his best outing for the Brumbies. Like Tom Wright was into a bit of everything, cracking through the run meters. He was the top kicker with 13, but yeah, would have been nice to see Lolosio play the whole game. That's just the way it goes. Rugby is a 23-man game, and I'm not sure it would have made a difference. Not enough, not a 20-point difference anyway, but hey, it is a Chiefs-Crusaders final. Once again, when was the last time we saw that final? A couple seasons ago? 2, 3? But yeah, it'll be a cracker next week down in Christchurch. I'm sure it'll be close to a sellout. Fingers crossed for a Super Rugby final between these two big sides. I do feel like the Chiefs have got a better chance down in Christchurch than the Brumbies would have done. But hey, you guys let us know your thoughts on the game. Who are you picking for next week? What does your head say? What does your heart say? Can anybody break that Crusaders home winning record? You guys let us know your thoughts on the game. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Take care, and talk to you guys again soon. See you later.